and welcome to the top of Kaimes Hill. That was an epic struggle. Signs that tell you to stay 2 metres away from oil or kind of wells, I think it is, gas wells in the ground. It's a quarry site and you don't want to get blown up. Plus a little bit of a struggle to get to the top of the hill. And now we're greeted with what is a fantastic view across, eventually actually I think over to Fife. You can maybe vaguely make out behind me the different bridges. But what we're here looking at are huge slabs, slabs and stonework, obviously signs of a settlement. So we're going to continue along hopefully this ridge and begin to pick out things in the landscape. But up here at the top of this hill you have absolutely got the kind of remains of Iron Age civilization and settlements. If we look over that way, you're going to see Dalmahoy Hill, and Dalmahoy Hill has also got the ruins of Iron Age settlements too. Why do you think? Well, you know, you take half a look up here and you have got a vantage point that goes in all directions. I'm going to grab the camera, going to pan it round, and you're going to take a look. So as we pan round just now, what you're beginning to notice so in the distance here you've got Dalmahoy Hill. You have also got Dalmahoy Quarry, which they are obviously actively working on just now. If I pan left a little bit, you can see in the distance vans and lorries making their way along the major road. And what's kind of sad about that is that this is one of the major quarry sites in Edinburgh, providing stone to local industry, but will eventually, of course, over time erode this kind of great vantage point that we're interested in today, because it's the site of Iron Age settlements. Beneath our feet are these huge blocks. I'm going to see if I can pan down a wee second, let you see that. Oh, steady tripod. And if we just kind of take a wee look down to our left, there's the one I was kind of sitting on, and you're able to see these giant blocks hewn out of the ground, signs very much of this settlement that we're now currently standing in. Yeah, I just wanted to show you a couple of quick pictures from the walk. We're looking at over to Kaimes Hill just now, and you can really get a sense of the scale of it. On this particular picture though, you can see in the top right these discoloured patches of grass and a sort of almost adding a little bit of a sense of the undulation or the kind of landscape modelling. It's pretty obvious to me and anyone looking at that those look man-made, and again sort of testify to the way that mankind's structures still have an impact on the landscape despite 2 millennia later. Well, I've just climbed up Kaimes Hill, which is that way, and Dalmahoy Hill, which is that way, both of which have had cows looking a little bit like that, and the things that cows leave behind us, which is now on my shoes. But you know, it was worth it. I think we've seen some Roman forts, certainly seen some Iron Age settlements, and you know, it is nothing if not a bit of an adventure with some of the locals. Here are Bob and his family just running away from the camera, because you know, seeing a man without strange poles, camera and legs covered in nasty things is a shock for anybody. Say hello to you, Bob. Right, welcome back. I'm back, midge-munched, muddy, let's face it, dunged up with legs shoveling of unmentionables. All part of the glamour and fun of hill forting, new verb created. Right, let's talk a little bit about what we know and what we don't know. Firstly, the findings from these sites are a little bit tricky and problematic. I know I've just shown you a few of my photographs, and we're going to look just now at a couple from Canmore. Partly because they're really cool aerial photographs, one or two of them black and white, they really show where the fort actually is. So let's have a look. Essentially, Dalmahoy Hill Fort sits right atop the rocky outcropping, while Kaimes' Hill Fort essentially encircles the summit. Each of the ringed defences is on the gentler slope between the two hills and kind of guards the community at the higher vantage point. Dalmahoy Hill Fort has got an air of mystery to it in terms of pinning down who the inhabitants actually were, when they lived there, and for how long. It's definitely Iron Age, but it seems to have been occupied again after the Romans left. And that brings us back to the nature of these unique hills, where they are in relation to the lowlands of Edinburgh, or Dunedin as it became, and the general nature of tribal clashes. Imagine for a second the waning influence of the Roman presence, the order that's brought about by military might, the impact of withdrawing forces from the impressive fort at Kaimes, now known as Cramond, on the River Amund and Forth. So powerful a place that if you're a good boy, they really reward you in death with sculptures a bit like this, found in the 90s in the actual River Amund. Would you believe a sculpture on behalf of the captain, the commander of the fort at Kaimes? They don't give north of the wall volunteers that kind of decoration. Anyway, imagining that stabilising influence of power just evaporating as political whims blow in the breeze. Well, it actually isn't that hard. We see its counterparts in modern societies that implode into the vacuum left by withdrawing power. Take areas of the Middle East where militias topple power structures where once the big guns would have squashed them, and look at the chaos that ensues when Western forces all but abandon the region. It's no surprise then that in these Iron Age settlements, people look to the land to defend their communities, ways in which they can get the higher ground, where even impregnable fortresses are a sign of ownership, clout, or even social status. It's interesting from our visit to Chester's Hill Fort, where the site was actually next to an even more impressive hill, and yet the people chose the stubby little one for their forts, almost ignoring the military decision and making it far more about status and less about the practicalities of invading ne'er-do-wells. That said, looking at these two aerial shots of the hills in South Edinburgh, where they are formidable and serious places, where they are imposing and strategically relevant, it is also pretty clear that these are the reasons why people would turn to it in a time of need. So, we'll leave you with a moody picture of this sheep who stands guard now at the site, and we will see you next time on our next adventure.